What's going on, everybody? Gary B. Jr. here. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about a quick update to a previous video that I made where I was highlighting how to do some emergency messages like alerts in FreeShow. And I highlighted a feature in step number 3 about conditions, and I didn't explain it very well. So I want to go in depth to make sure that you understand how it works, because in that video, what I did, it works, but it was not the proper explanation for it. So I want to make sure we understand how conditions really work, and how you can put them to work and use them effectively for what you need. So if we start out with functions and we go over to the option that says variables, you're going to see your um, different variables that you may have already created, like I've got here. And if you have not, you can go down to the very bottom and select a new variable. All of my variables are text variables that I'm using right now. So these are all representing text variables. And I've got also a stage display. And in my stage display, I've got this important message that says type something. All right. Now, if I want this important message to only be shown at a certain time. So I've got this little light bulb here, and it's a condition set to it already. If you want to get rid of it, you can highlight over it and delete it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new condition to it. So I'm going to right click and select conditions. And in my past video, I kept this at text. That's not necessarily going to make a big difference or any difference at all in this scenario. So I need to hit this text verbiage and select an option that says variable. And when you go to variable, which is what we just started out with, we showed the variable called important message. I need to select that option for important messages. All right. So now my variable is set to the one that I want, the actual one that's called important messages. So it says show item if this variable called important messages is, and I want it to be, is not empty. All right. So now when the information is in that particular variable text box, then this particular item will show. But if it's empty, it won't show at all. All right. Show item if the variable is not empty. All right. So we're going to close that out. And right now I'm going to go to let you guys see my behind the scenes to show all the different cameras. So what I've got right here is my stage editor. I'm going to go to my show. We're going to go to important messages. I want you to look down at the bottom over there where you see it says type something at the very bottom. And I'm going to just turn off over here on the right that message. And now it's completely blank in terms of the variable is deactivated. So it's completely blank. So there's no content in that box. When I turn it back on, guess what? It shows back up. All right. So this would be your important message. Right. It could be an alert. It could be something special. When you type in that space next to important message, you can call this whatever you want. Someone said in Easy Worship, I think it's called alerts or something along those lines. You just type in this space that you created your text variable. And then when you hit enter, it automatically goes live. All right. So if I put alert 2 and hit enter, you'll see it show the 2 there once I hit enter. And when I'm ready for that to be gone and not visible on the stage display, right? So if I don't want the stage to see that, I can just turn it off immediately by clicking this little blue toggle switch here. And I can delete it out if I wanted to. Same way. So let me put something in here just so you can get an idea of how it works. If I turn this back on, we've set that variable or that condition, I'm sorry, on this particular box here to be if it's blank or empty, don't show anything. So let's see. When I just delete this out, right, it's still on. I'm not going to turn it off. When I delete the text, watch what happens. When I hit enter, it goes away. So you can turn it off, or you can just delete the text and it'll automatically get rid of your content box that you have, your text box that you have. And this is a specific use case on your stage displays. You can do that for the next slide timer, right? So if we go out and we go back to edit our stage, we can go to conditions and I can say show item if text is not empty. All right. And so that's this box. This is the next slide timer, and check out what happened to it. It completely went away. So now I need to go to an actual slide or a show, I should say, and we'll go to this show. I'm just going to select one of them and notice what happens. The box that's here, the next slide box, actually shows up. But what happens when I get to the very last slide? So I'm here on this one, and I'm gonna show you guys full screen here, and I'm gonna arrow to the right to get to point number 10, the next slide. And check out what happens. It goes completely blank. And so this could be helpful for those on your stage, your pastors, your leaders, your teachers, your worship team leaders. When they see that there's not a box there, they know they're at the end. Okay. That's something that could be very helpful. Some people prefer to keep it there and make it be blank so they can know, okay, there's nothing there. It's completely up to you, but I want to make sure you understand how this feature works, because it can be very valuable, for one, and for two, I want to make sure that you didn't get a misunderstanding from one of my previous videos on how this works. All right. And so right now this whole space is blank. And the only reason it's blank is because I don't have an important message here. And boom, I got an important message, and I'm on my last slide. So if I go to my previous, few slides back, now I've got all this information here. All right. You can do that with any of these items. I can go into my stage editor, and I could right click on the timer, right? So I can actually, you can't right click on the timer and do anything. That's something that would be a really cool feature, I should say. But you can make this be here, but you can show other items here. So if I right click on this and I say conditions, you can make it to where this particular slide notes page or item is dependent upon this 15-minute timer. All right. And so that would be something that would be pretty cool. Now, you can also use these same features in your shows, right? So if you go to a show and you want to go to edit, you can right click on any text box and go to conditions and see the same options. Like I said, we saw what happens with the timers, but there's a cool feature that I want to show you that I made a video about on how to use timers to be color coded for the time that they're at throughout the countdown. All right. So if you got a countdown timer, you want it to progressively look different as it goes through the time and show a different color or show something different or do something special under a condition, then stay tuned and watch this next part of the video. I found a really cool use case that I think you would like when it comes to using the conditions in a regular slide, maybe even for a countdown. This could be useful like in a school setting. It could be useful for a ministry as well, or an event. And so what I've got here is my timer. Let me make sure you guys can see my screen there. And if I were to start this up, so we will start that and go there, and you'll see the timer going. It changes color as it decreases in value from green to orange to red, and then it stays on red when it's complete. Now, this is just a short, 10-second value. You can do this over the course of minutes, obviously, and just set it up. But let me show you what I did to get to that point. All right. And so basically, if I go to my items, you're going to see I've got a 10-second timer here. I've got a text box, a text box, and a text box. They all are empty. But if I wanted to, I could type in these. So this one, I would call it green, and you'll see that it's at the top. Right now, I wouldn't keep those names in there because it's going to be visible, right? And then this one is the orange one. You'll see it's that one in the middle. And then I've got a red one. All right. And it's there. Now, here's the deal. Let's talk about how did we create this? Basically, what I did was I made 3 text boxes. All right. And they're all around the same size. It won't really matter as long as the last one is thinner than all the rest of them. Okay. So that's basically what I ensured, because I didn't make them all exactly the same. The red one is a little bit thinner. If I stack them on top, you'll see that the red is a little bit thinner than orange, and it's definitely a little bit thinner than the green. You can see there's some space there. All right. But what I did is I put them on top of my timer, because my timer is literally at the top of the list in order of layers. But on my red, I just put it there. It's just literally there, right to where it covers up the entire timer, even though it's layered below, right? So if I click out of all this, you'll see the timer is actually on top of everything. But when I've got the red selected, you can see that it's there above it just to edit it and things like that. All right. I'm going to select this green. I'm going to delete the text in there. Then I've got an orange box. All right. So this orange box is going to be dragged on top of the red box. All right. And so I put that there. And then I right clicked and I went to conditions and I made a condition that says for the timer that is a 10-second timer, I just picked my 10-second timer. I've got a few of them in there. I picked the 10-second one. When it is above, and it says seconds, you can't change that. When it's above 4 seconds, I want it to be shown. So when the timer is above 4 seconds, show this orange box. All right. So that's one of the conditions. Then I've got this green one that's a little bit bigger than the orange one. So I use that to cover up everything there. And I right clicked on this one and I made another condition. And this one is the same timer when it's above, but in this case, it's when it's above 7 seconds. That's when I wanted to show. So it says show this item, this green box, if the 10-second timer is above 7 seconds. So that means it's going to be showing when it's at 10, when it's at 9, when it's at 8, and then when it switches over to 7, it goes away. All right. And then it shows the orange. So I can close that out. And now, even though it looks like the green is on top, when I click out of all this, you'll see the timer's right there. I'm going to go to my show, go to my functions, and I'm going to reset my 10-second timer. You'll notice it shows up there. And when I play the 10-second timer, in this case, if I were to go to another show and bring that out, and then I come back, I call it timer colors for training sake. When I start it, it automatically starts the timer, and you'll see it going, and it goes to the orange, and the green goes away, and then the orange goes away, and then the red is what's left. And it looks like it's an urgency type situation. Is basically the way I designed it, to where green is good, orange is like a yellow light, and then it goes to a red light, or red strip in this case. You can arrange this however you want to. You don't even have to have it to where they're behind the timer. You can make them to where they're up under the timer, or above the timer, or onto the side of the timer. They can be pretty much anything you want, as long as you set those conditions to where they actually allow it to look like it's progressing through something. For me, I made all mine different sizes so they can actually cover up each other fully. You can make them exactly the same size and stack them up. The biggest challenge I had with this was making sure I knew which layer was which. And so you might label yours while you're editing them in terms of moving them around and stuff. So when you put the items together, you'll make sure that the green one's on top, the orange one's in the middle, and the red one's at the bottom. And remember that the last one, for me at least, when I made them staggered in size, I didn't need to put a condition on the last item because it was there pretty much the whole time. It was definitely there the whole time. You just couldn't see it because it was covered up by something else. And it was only showing those ones on top of it when it was at a certain time. And then they would just disappear when they got past or below that time. Okay. And so this is a really cool way to use conditions to kind of give some, I would say some, not it's color obviously, but giving some dynamicy to your presentation, right? To where it gives it a nice feel, a fluid feel. It polishes it up quite a bit, I would say. So this is a really cool use case for conditions when you're using them with a timer. And I'm sure you guys can come up with a lot of other cool ideas. So let me know what you can think of in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video. I really hope it helped you in a major way. Now, at this point, most people would ask you to like and subscribe, and I think that's great, but my goal is a little bit different. My goal is to empower as many people as possible all over the globe. And there's one way that you can really help me do that, and that is to leave a comment below with a question, a thought, how this video may have helped you, or things that were left out that you still have questions about, and to share this video with someone just like you, someone who is looking for answers, someone who's curious and wants to grow. With your help, I believe we can build a community of people that want to grow together. So until next time, God bless.